I'd just like to say quickly, off the immediate topic of this review, this is an important task, but it's not the only task that we're addressing. We're not standing still. We're not waiting for this review. We're making lots of changes along the way, and one of the essential and critical elements that we are trying to address is the cultural changes that I know have to come in New South Wales. Last week we held a day and a half's conference of the senior people within the Department of Planning, and I think there was a general recognition, an important recognition though, that next to Treasury and Finance, planning holds more of the economic levers than any other department in the public sector. I am encouraging the Department of Planning staff to recognise that in their day-to-day deliberations. I'm also inviting, extolling those in local government to recognise that because of the partnership that the new government is trying to establish or grow with local government, that local government is getting more responsibilities, more opportunities, but they also have to be with us on this journey that recognises that local government also, through its planning controls, is a vital part of growing this state. They also hold the economic levers in so many ways. So for those of you who are from local government today, can I say to you, please understand that the state government wants to work with you constructively for the benefit of the state. We're all here for the benefit of the state, for ratepayers, for taxpayers, and we must recognise that we have a role in that. We must recognise that those at local government level have to respond. 152 councils across the state must respond to our request, the state government's request, to recognise your responsibility as holding some of those economic levers, and you have the capacity to drive this state forward. As we move into the period where we have the September local government elections, I would ask councillors across the state to recognise that and to put aside petty politics and to move forward. Find ways to actually address the greatest challenge that we have in this state at the moment, and that is the lowest housing starts in 50 years. We need to get that reversed. We need to become Australia's leader when it comes to delivering housing. And I recognise that no matter what legislation we put in place, if we don't change the culture across both state government agencies and local government, then sadly, we won't achieve the outcomes we want to achieve. Can I say to you, while I'm saying that to local government, the state government has taken this wholeheartedly. For the first time, and I think some of you will be aware of this, but most of you wouldn't, for the first time in my memory, and across politics that's 2 decades, and I suspect that it may well be the first time at all, we now have ministers who head up various government agencies involved in a subcommittee of Cabinet with the full imprimatur support and drive of Premier Barry O'Farrell. We meet monthly, and what we do is we are now trying to come to grips with the obstacles to getting on with development, getting on with the provision of housing. I think most of you would have, if you've had a chance to talk to me, would have expressed your frustrations at sometimes the concurrences for various government agencies are sequential. They often don't seem to take into account the approvals from other agencies, and the blockages are obvious. So what we did with the Premier's imprimatur was to bring together these various ministers. It's been operating now for some months and it's already seeing the fruit of our labours. And each of those ministers who would have seen, and their agencies I might add, the Directors General sit below in another forum to drive the ministerial directions and also to make recommendations to the ministers. What we are now seeing is a totally different way of doing business in New South Wales. Developers have said to us, those who own properties have said to us, we'd like to provide the housing, but gee whiz, damn difficult sometimes when you're dealing with government agencies who all have their own agenda and not necessarily see themselves as part of that great journey to provide housing for those who need housing in New South Wales. And what they are now doing through this subcommittee of the Cabinet is each minister is working on how they can best involve their agency in that great task. And we are already seeing differences. I mean, you know those of you who deal at the coalface, that perhaps if you're dealing with roads, it might be a case of, well, this road is not going to happen for quite a while because we haven't really considered the housing implications of it, but we've considered what the roads portfolio narrowly thought, or we might be looking at an environmental issue at a very narrow perspective. And these are all important issues. But they are now seeing themselves as part of this great task that we have to provide housing in New South Wales. The first announcement, actually, interestingly, was made by the Premier. And I think that indicates the importance, the first outcome of this task force. Developers tell us that, yes, look, we understand that you can't always deliver infrastructure, nor can developers necessarily deliver infrastructure as they would like to do. But if you gave us the timetable, that would help. Just give us a clear timetable for obligations and you're going to deliver. About 2 weeks ago, Premier O'Farrell and Minister Gay stood out on Camden Valley Way and announced that the work there would be completed by 2016 and a time frame is set. So those sorts of issues can make huge differences to areas that you can potentially open up. So we're trying to do that while we're trying to address those sorts of issues while this review is going on. We're trying to change the culture. We are trying in every possible way to make a difference to delivery of housing. I invite you all this morning to give your best energy and best thoughts on the processes that we need to apply. We are absolutely the beneficiaries of your knowledge. The Planning Department understands it is not the repository of all knowledge. Local government hopefully understands it's not the repository of all knowledge, but I've got to say, between local government and planning, there is a vast repository of knowledge when they work together. But when they sit down and talk face to face with each other and with those who have the large tracts of land that we can develop, there is an almighty energy that comes into the room, and I've been in numerous of those meetings. This morning, I hope there's the same energy. Thank you very much, and I look forward to being around and listening to what you all have to say today. Thank you so much for your contributions, and let's make a difference in New South Wales. Thank you very much.